Alright, what's going on, guys? This is Anon. None of this is financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. Let's see if we get everything started and we kind of go over a bunch of stocks and talk about what's going on today with all the meme stocks in the market. Alright, let's go ahead and get everything up and running. Go. Alright. There's nobody in here yet. Everyone must be busy. Preparing for MOAS. Alright, let's see. Am I even live? Well, we're going to find out in a second. What's up, guys? Jerry first. You guys tied. Oh, there you go. Big Lebowski. See, I know how to say your name now. Just wanted to continue my first streak. Yeah, you guys tied, according to me. Alright. Let's go ahead. What's up, Tom? Alright, so let's get this posted into the Discord real quick and see if we can start off. There we go. How's everybody doing? EMA cross tomorrow? Maybe. I mean, you can see right there on the MACD, it's starting to cross, right? Getting one more good day pop up, and all of a sudden you've got a bullish divergence. Yeah, today was a bit weird. Obviously watching GameStop, AMC, Aterian, DTC, BBIG, couple, of them. So, I'm going to find out exactly what's going on with that. Alright, let's see. Let's get everything out. Alright, where is the YouTube one? Here we go. Hope everyone had a good Memorial Day. Anyone do anything fun? What's up, yes? Alright. Did anyone catch the DD today? I know I dropped it really late in the day. Just it's taking forever to write. What's up, Mason? How's it going? Hopefully you got cross-post there. Okay, good. Somebody cross-posted it already. And then I'm supposed to do Twitter, right? We're trying to regain some momentum. Yeah, what's up, Drake? What's up, yes? Your DD was beautiful. Thanks, man. I was going to say, I'm just trying to, present it in a more, professional manner as far as, we still have memes and stuff, but people need to know, the underlying fundamentals, and so it's not just, you should know what you bought, so... What's up, Chris? What's up, Zeke? Alright, so we're going to type in real quick ATER/ATER live. Sorry, I'm just trying to get some more people in here so we can get started. DTC. We'll get some eyes on here. There we go. All right, let's see what we got. I thought it was easy to read and like the new layout. Oh, good. The DD was a plus. Thanks, Shannon. Thanks, yes. Anything you missed from the PX you want me to send? No, I'm good. Appreciate it, Jonathan. It's funny. So I think I think I can technically go to like. There's a base near me, even though it's Army. I'm pretty sure if I show my veteran ID, like I can still get like shop in the PX is what I was told. I don't know. So, but I'm good. I appreciate it. My favorite ones were definitely the ones in Iraq, because those ones were like such a random assortment of just everything you can go with. Is there any warrants on DTC that need to be known? You know what? Let's take a look real quick. I don't think there was anything that was huge. If they have any, it's a small amount. Let's take a look. DTC. Yeah, they don't have any like immediate stuff. There's not any significant dilution just off of like the bat. Let's see if we pull up their filings. Let me try a 10Q and just see if we can find any warrants. No, there's warranties, but no warrants. Warranties for their items, I guess, for the solo stove. So I don't see any significant dilution at all on that ticker. And the DD on that, I think Big Lebowski was doing it, and I thought he did a great job tracking down and running through all the numbers. And if anyone hasn't read his DD, you should definitely do it. I think he posted it under his Reddit name, which I think is like, what was it, OK Comedian or something like that? Or Big, if you're on here, go ahead and let everybody know. You can link your DD in here in the YouTube channel. All right. So. All right. So someone said that NSCC 22-003 got approved. Let's see. It would limit or prevent the rest of the market from tanking when hedge funds start defaulting, because it would let them use the NSCC as a go-between between their loans and other members. If they defaulted, the other party would not have to worry about, they wouldn't get their money, and the NSCC would be able to sell off loan securities in a controlled manner to keep the stock from crashing. If it was just a loan between the shorter and the loaner, the shorter would dump everything at once and screw the market. There would be no listed date. So it could go into effect right away, but it wouldn't be surprised if it's months ahead. But, let's see. Yeah, so let's see what they're doing here. Da, da, da. I'll probably read this on my own so I don't bore you guys. What do you guys want to talk about? I mean, obviously I took the Memorial Day off. Yeah, it's OK Comedian. With some numbers after. I didn't know I could change it once I made the account. Yeah, I mean, you can change it to whatever you want, I think. Yeah, you haven't missed anything, Goat. It's just us kind of talking about what's going on. I think the most significant thing that we're seeing right now is obviously on the daily, the MACD is about to cross over. And I think I told you guys last week on Friday, I expect to see probably movement like later in the week, probably Thursday or Friday, maybe even possibly tomorrow. We could see like a little bit of green day and then possibly, had that crossover, just like here, crossed over, started running up. I don't know how much will run up yet, but I do know that it looks like it's about to cross over on the MACD. So if we zoom in, we're pretty darn close. So they may have enough time of accumulation here. We'll see. And then we've got a couple other ones that, oops, wrong ticker. Excuse me. Yeah, this one's interesting because obviously the MACD did already cross over on the daily. So it looks like this was maybe the spring, and we're starting to head up. I saw the options flow on DTC, and it was super bullish, like super bullish. So with some numbers after, didn't know I could change it. Yeah. In time to beat Max Payne. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. If we go back to, 3 is Max Payne, I think, right? It's like pinned Max Payne for this entire, let's see, Aterian, Max Payne. Looks like this week so far it's 4. Let's see. They're saying Max Payne right now for this week is 4. But, people keep buying calls and they'll get pushed down. But let's take a look. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Yeah, 350 is what some people have. Let me see. They've got it for 350 on Max Payne or max-payne.com. Stock Ninja has it at 4. Let's see what some of the other ones are. Stock Seer has it at 350. So yeah, there's a couple of different sites, but it looks like it's between 350 and 4, just depending on how the options flow goes. All right, so let's take a look and see what's going on here. All right, so you guys ask questions. What do you want me to cover? I mean, obviously, I spent most of today writing DD. I went through and tried to do, kind of like what an analyst would do, and just kind of figure out, like, simple breakdowns. I mean, if you look at the price targets, most of the stuff is, it's pretty self-explanatory, especially with, like, the way all these guys are viewing it. Like, when most of your, analysts are starting to be like, okay, probably undervalued, like by like 60-70%. It's probably a good thing. So, but I do trust Morningstar. I think they've done a pretty good job of being like pretty unbiased. And I was looking through their stuff and found that They think that Aterian's, fair value is around like 12. Interesting enough, that's the same as DTC. So they have them both priced around 12 as fair value. I can't pull it over because apparently if I do that, then it gets flagged. But they have it as a 3-star, and they have it as a buy, and they have it as fair value versus price, which means that there's like a 70% upside from what they saw like in the immediate future. That's based solely off fundamentals. Like they don't care about short squeeze stuff. So, but let's see. So, yeah, I mean, like, let's go through. All right, pulling over some stuff right now. All right, so let's pull up their financials real quick. And I think we can probably pull up the DD just to bring it over. We can kind of cover it. Oh, look. I've been hating on the ATER crap, but maybe I'll hop in after GME and BBIG to swing. Yeah, I mean, everyone was complaining that there was no fundamentals, that just it was a squeeze, and I'm like, all right, fine, then let's go into the fundamentals. Like, Aterian's got a small float compared to like BBIG or like Prague or it's AMC, for example, another very high float, but they're also very popular, so that's a very different thing. But all these stocks, they all kind of act the same way, which is one of those like interesting things. That's like every single meme stock is running in similar fashion, and I don't think that's a coincidence. Like it just can't be. Like, I've been in the market for a long time. I've seen stocks move together. Obviously, like you see them, and like especially ones that trade in certain ETFs and stuff like that. But like these don't seem to be very specific to industries, or like they basically are just whatever retail really, really likes at the time. These guys have put these things in the same algo, and they are just controlling them to the T. Very different industries, very different companies. Doesn't seem to matter though. If retail is, if it's popular with retail, these guys are attacking it. Let's pull up GameStop real quick, right? Look at the history on this thing. I mean, it's just a series of just chopping around. This was a stock that was trading at $3 a share back here, $3.77, and then ran all the way to $500. And since then, it's just been in this constant cycle of like up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And I mean, you can kind of space it out. I mean, you can see each run. It's like a game of kick the can, or like they kick the can down the road, and hopefully maybe somebody will sell in months' time, and you can see it's not happening that way. I mean, look at these indicators; they're flattening out. But I mean, I think something big is going to happen at some point. Like something big is probably going to happen. All right, I just want to make sure, is everyone still here with me? Because I'm trying to see. I don't see a lot of chatting going on. Normally I'm like way, way, way behind. So just want to make sure everyone's good. Because normally I'm like way, way far behind, and I'm like 30, 40 minutes behind, and now it's like, okay. Nobody's writing anything. Okay, here we go. It was just taking a little bit. All right, so AMC had 106 million of volume today if it finished flat. All right, let's pull up AMC real quick. Let's take a look. All right, so AMC today, volume was 106 million, almost 107 million. We are here. Yeah, low watchers today. Yeah, I had to leave for a second. What stock was that? Oh, that was GameStop before. This is now AMC. Now, AMC, obviously, I showed you guys this run from here all the way to basically when it launched to 70. Reg show 7 times. I think I showed you guys that. Yeah, Ethan, we can talk about DTC a little bit. We also have Big Lebowski in here, who wrote the DD. He's like OK Comedian, whatever numbers they are on Reddit, but he was the one that crunched and did a bunch of work over the weekend. So we can talk about that in a second. But yeah, let's just take a look at AMC real quick. Like, to me, it looks like AMC here hit the low. Didn't quite get as low the second time, but they tried to push it down there. And now it looks like they're having to like actually go over. We crossed it over on the MACD. Stochastic looks like it's trying to cross back under, but it's not yet. I mean, obviously they were trying to push it down. They couldn't really do it. So let's see what happens with that, because obviously they brought a little bit of volume. Not like a ton, but they brought a little bit of volume today. And they were not able to push it down. So that's a good thing for AMC holders. Let's see what they got. Yeah. Anyway, I was going to say that what my guess would be is these blockbusters that are coming out like Top Gun will be good for AMC overall, because it seems to be bringing people back to the movies even more. I know they already had Spider-Man earlier, but I think Top Gun is bringing out like a different crowd. It's people probably from my generation who grew up with the original Top Gun and want to see it now in a theater like we used to. You know, the pandemic, you know, everything's, you know, still crappy, but whatever. Like, I go sit in the movie theater and watch a really cool. I've heard it's good. I haven't seen it yet, so if anyone's seen it, let me know. Top Gun was awesome. There we go. Pete's got me. All right. Can you explain the difference for everyone between buying calls, puts, selling, and the difference of them? Yeah, absolutely, Chris. Okay. Probably should have visual aids, and I don't really have them. But basically, it breaks down into this. If you buy a call, this is what most retailers do. Most retail buys calls, right? So they go to their broker and they say, okay, I want to, if I'm buying AMC calls, right, I'm going to buy maybe a $16 or $18 call for this week, right? This is what retail typically does. They buy out of the money calls. So what that means is they're betting basically if the stock price goes over that, if they're in the money, for example, if this runs up to 25 tomorrow, or stay by Friday basically, and stays over that, you have the option of buying those shares for whatever price, like we'll say 16, right? So you have the choice to buy those shares at $16 and basically the premium that you paid. So buying calls is bullish. Now, on the inverse side of that, the other thing you can do that's also bullish is you can sell a put. And selling a put means that you are committing to, if the stock price falls below a certain strike price, so in this case, let's say it's 16 again. If you sell a put, that means that you sit there and you say, I am willing to commit that if no matter what the stock price is at the end of the week, I am willing to buy these shares if it's under $16. This is considered bullish because you are willing to buy those shares. Now, if the stock price runs to 25, you keep your premium, but you don't get the shares. So that's why selling puts is considered bullish. Now, on the other side of this, if you buy a put, that means that you are basically saying, I want to sell these shares now onto the market, and hopefully the price goes down. It's almost like a short, but it's within a time limit with theta. And then, so if you, for example, wanted to be safe and you shorted this at 16, or not shorted, but if you bought puts at 16 and the price ends up 25, then obviously your puts are out of the money and they're not worth, you just lose your entire premium. But if, for example, this ran down to 10, then you could either turn those into, you could exercise them and you could start basically a short position, or, what you can do is you just sell them and you keep the profit. Now, the other side of that is selling calls, covered calls, is considered bearish. So, it means that, you're basically willing to get rid of your shares at a certain strike price. So that's all. Selling calls is, bearish. So that's the difference between all of them. I probably should have a visual aid at some point to help people understand that. If you are following with just what my voice is saying, hopefully that was good enough. But I do need to probably get some sort of writing utensil, and my intention was never to be like a YouTube person. I was supposed to just talk about Aterian, and now I'm just trying to, anyone that wants to ask questions, I'm just trying to let them know. But I know that after hours doesn't matter, but we had solid after hours. I guess Pete was talking about which stock. Maybe Aterian. Okay. I posted in the chat. I'll be listening tonight, but won't be able to type much. Harvesting some plants. There you go. Yeah, the voice to hit it big. Thanks, yes. My silky smooth jazz voice. I can do jazz radio. You've hit 106.5 The Breeze. All right, so we want someone who asked about DTC. So let's go to that real quick and kind of, I think he posted it in here. But what we're looking at for DTC was, let's see if I can find his DD, because he had good information in there, and I want to pull it up. So if I search for DTC, only 64 members. Hopefully. Okay, here we go. Right up by OK Comedian 3475. All right. So he wrote this all up. I like how he incorporates the stuff too. All right. He's also an Aterian as well. So, but he had asked me how you get 430% short, and I was like, you're not supposed to be able to. So I kind of broke him down the beginnings of it, and I said, listen, I don't have time to research over the weekend, but if you want to dive into it, here's kind of like a blueprint. I gave him some, screenshots from Morningstar and a couple other things that I had, and then he was able to kind of run with it and start doing this. So if we look here, you'll see Class A shares outstanding, right? And then there's also Class B common stock. The difference between these is typically Class B gets paid out before Class A, if I remember correctly, but they don't have voting rights. If I'm just doing that off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure that's correct, though. So yeah. So what we think has happened is they're counting, we think, the Class Bs as Class As. I think that's where the quote-unquote data mistake came from. Because as of right now, what ends up happening is on Fintel and a bunch of other ones. Let me actually see if I can pull up my DD, because I did have some of the screenshots from that on there real quick. So let me pull up my DD real quick. Where is it? Here we go. So this is what kind of sparked our interest. Yeah, DTC has been in a horrible downtrend for months and months and months. And the only reason it caught my attention was because Big Lebowski wrote me and was like, how do you end up with that high of a percentage of, like, obviously you don't normally have short interest 430% of the float, right? Like, that's kind of insane. So I said, well, the only way you would have that is if your float was messed up. So that's where our starting point was. So I was like, okay, so let's take a look at the float, right? So I pulled over this and I said, okay, shares outstanding, 63 million, institutional longs. Wait a second, 86.22 million. Like, wait, what? Like, they sold 86 million shares of a stock that only has 63 million. And I was like, well, that's not right. So I was like, there's got to be much more going on, because that's a difference of 22.82 million, right? So I was like, all right, so let me add up some of the other, like, sites. So I was like, okay, so like over here, this one had 78 million reported for the toots institutions, and then this at the mutual funds had another 11 million. And I'm like, well, wait a second, adding them up gives you basically almost 90 million shares of ownership. And once again, remember, Fintel was only reporting 86. So I'm like, you add up what Morningstar has, and that's almost 90 million shares. And I'm like, and you can see right here, float, shares outstanding, and then the percentage outstanding right now is 100. That's more than 100%. So Bloomberg was even reporting this, right? So I was like, something doesn't look right here. Like, so he dove in this weekend, right? So I was just like, listen, I don't have time this weekend. I was with my family. So he deep dove into this. But I wanted to show you guys just kind of what I saw, what caught our attention in the beginning. So right here, right? So he goes and you add these two numbers up, and it almost gets you to where I showed you guys the Morningstar adding up together, which is almost 90 million, right? So he said if you add the Class A's and the Class B's together, that gives you 94, right? So that doesn't work, though, because not all Class B's, right? So only 14.167 million of them are convertible, right? And he points out right here. So that's only 77 million shares outstanding, right? So, yeah. So, yeah, Morningstar reports almost 90 million. And then they have 86 million here. So how do we calculate the free float, right? So that leaves us with the 77 million, which gives us a deficit of 8.6 million, right? Like the Burt. So yeah, so right now they're calculating roughly. This is how they're calculating it. It's taking the Class A's and Class B's together minus 86 million, which, that's how they're doing it. I don't think this is right. So this is where we're like kind of throwing our hands up, because we're going, something doesn't look right here. Like, they went from 430% short to now 30% short, but none of their numbers are matching up, and that's why we think there's something going on with this stock. Because worst case scenario, you've got a turnaround story on the stock. Because I mean, look at this thing; it's just been a straight downtrend, right? And it was oversold for a while, and then it just popped over, right? So now MACD's crossed over, everything's kind of going up. But here's the thing, right? Like, they went from like a $25 million net loss to like $3 million last quarter. I think institutions are going long on them now. I mean, if anyone knows about this company, it's the same people that make the like fire stoves that burn like smokeless. And they also bought Chubbies, which actually is stuff I would wear. And so I have an interest in this because I think it looks like institutions are going long on them at this point. Like they've been beaten down enough. Now they can go long on them and ride this back up. I don't know how high. I would think it's probably minimum it will go to like 8 to 10, maybe 12 in the near future, and that's just based off fundamentals. Like I think with summer coming up, they will see probably an improvement in their sales, and so yeah. But yeah, that's me covering this. So what we think will end up happening, though, is we're going to get some clarification hopefully tomorrow. So this is more a liquidity play. The short interest is only like 3 million shares. So it's not so much like a short squeeze as it is like a liquidity squeeze where like they have no choice but to send the stock higher. Something's going on with this thing. Like the numbers don't add up right. Everyone seems to be really confused on how they're getting their calculations between Ortex, Fintel. I wrote them and had an open ticket with them, and they still haven't gotten back to me. And that's usually you'll at least hear back from them. Like I got a case number that I'm following up with today. So all right. So there's that. We'll go back to Aterian real quick and ask, So this is what I see. I mean, this looks to me like there's bullish divergence. We're going to see a MACD crossover in the next day or two, maybe 3 by Friday. We should see at least turning green and maybe some, buy pressure for next week or at the end of the week. I've been setting alerts at the bottoms for all the big movers. Corruption and insiders got that power. Yeah, I mean, this whole market there's a problem. There's huge problems with the entire, like the settlement system, like the T plus, it breeds like corruption, and it breeds, they're able to do things that you shouldn't be able to do, which is they are able to often sell more shares than actually exist with no repercussions. Like with Aterian during this run up right here in the 7s. Here's what's frustrating to me, right? So during this run up right here, our brokers, the ones that we trade our stocks through, literally had deficits of like millions of shares at a time, right? But instead of like holding on and like, what retail does is retail sees any sort of movement down and they freak out and they sell. You have these guys on the ropes here, and then, people. And it wasn't a huge amount, and this is what we've kind of covered before. I'll show you guys this. So when we zoom out a little bit on most of these meme stocks, and I've showed, most of the people that are in here know this, but anyone new. What I've been doing is I've been tracking kind of a couple different indicators, and I'll just show you kind of like starting from GameStop, because GameStop was the kind of the OG, right? This is the one that caught most people's attention. So look at this. In the beginning right here, you have your money flow, you've got accumulation distribution, which is either you're accumulating shares or you're selling shares. And then you've got OBV on the long time frame, which shows basically calculation of like, I can bring up the equation if you guys want, but essentially what I'm doing is I'm kind of viewing retail as the green line, which is the money flow, which is a better indicator than OBV, but OBV just shows you like they're similar. So what's happening is you're starting to get increasing volume, right, on this one. The price is going up, the volume is going up, and it kind of peaks out here, You have this massive spike, and then what's interesting is you actually see the money flowing into the stock on this thing, but it's not even like the biggest move. The second biggest move is actually this secondary spike here, and then here. This is when this money just was flowing in, right? So what happens here, right? we start having some selling pressure. And this is actually people selling. These are, paper hands, but people, whatever, you want to call them. It's people that might have been buying down here in the threes and they're getting rid of their shares, right? But here's the thing. This secondary move up here has pinned the stock up here in the 90s, and it never went away, right? So you've got your accumulation distribution down here on this yellow and purple, but which is representing basically the price ignoring volume. But up here you have money that flowed into the stock that never really left in mass amounts, right? So let's go to AMC then. So AMC, right? Same sort of idea. Here you have all of a sudden money flowing in. That's the green line. And then this huge spike here. And you've had money coming in like this, right? Now, they're not as strong on this particular one as GameStop. And I'm not knocking it. I'm just showing you guys. You can see there's a lot more jagged reactions, whereas GameStop was a more fluid kind of like up and then it just kind of held. AMC tends to be a lot more kind of like jagged moves, and you'll see, actual slumps down into the 70s from the 90s. But overall, like, those people that have held on this long, somebody said I need to, if you go to settings tab, quality, advanced, 1080p, you can see the screen better. Yeah, so because I want you guys to be able to see this. So if you can improve your resolution, you should be able to pick up a little bit better. But that's AMC. Now, the reason why I got into Aterian was because I noticed this, a while back, and I'll show you this. This is where I think retail entered in, large amounts. I'll zoom out again just so you guys can have the same view as you did with GameStop. But look, you had money flowing here on this squeeze, right? So the squeeze last year, money ran in, right? So boom, gets to that second thing. The money though really came in though on the secondary part, right? So this spike right here on Aterian caused this thing to go up here into the 80s, and then it just held. And it kind of held this entire time. And yeah, there were retail that were selling off here. You can see slight, bumps, and it's starting to get a little bit lower, but it really remained over like the 75 mark the entire time, which means that retail, whether they were stuck bag holding or they just believed in the stock long term, they're holding on. And the money never flowed out of the stock. And in fact, what ends up happening here is in the secondary, move up, you see money flowing back into the stock, and it literally peaks out. Like, look at this. It hits 100% over here. Like, it pinned the money flow all the way up here, and it's still up here, right? The money's not flown out, even though the stock price has gone out. Yeah, we've lost some people throughout this, but at the same time, retail in general has made this kind of like, their mission to kind of prove that they own this stock. And so what you're seeing here is you'll see the fact that they hit 100% utilization here on this earnings call, right? So right here, from here to here is 80-something days, 87 days or something like that. That's a lot of days that have passed that we're at 100% utilization. And during that time, we've traded like 1.5 billion shares on a stock that has, a 30 million free float. Like, that's not normal. So this stock, something's going on with it. And you can see with a lot of these meme stocks, all right, so let's pick another one, BBBY, right? Same thing. Look at this. Money flows in. Starting slowly to fill in, right? This is their spike, right? They get that big spike up. And since then, they've just been adding, they had this little spot right here. They did drop a little bit on, it must have been earnings, I think. Yep. And then, look, they push back up, and now they're pushing back up again. So you're starting to see the MACD crossing over on BBBY, and, you can see on the awesome, it's starting to turn green and start to oscillate the other way. Same thing on the TTM, it's starting to go there. Once we see these light blue and we see the green dots, we'll start knowing that's a good indicator. But all these stocks are acting the exact same, and that's not a normal thing. Because what does Bed Bath and Beyond have to do with movie theaters? What does GameStop have to do with selling dehumidifiers on those two are both e-commerce, so I can understand that the connection between the two. But like, let's pick a couple of different ones. Like, there should be ones out there that have nothing, like Koss. They make headphones, right? Look at Koss, same thing. Look at them. Money flows in on the spike, right? But it keeps getting added. And now the OBV and the money flow are up here in the 90s. And this stock has, it went from, what was it, like down here, 80 cents all the way up to 130. Like, what? Like, Koss went from 80 cents back here like a couple of years ago. But, I mean, like, even up here, this was a, like, $5-6 stock. Not even that. It was like $1 stock, and it went all the way to 130 during the squeeze. Like, that's insane. Let's see. An OG ATER stock was posting that he was putting in bids at an after hours, and he claims that tries it sometimes, but this time they actually were letting him move the stock price up. He claimed the reason that we did so well in after hours, he's been there for about a year, and so he's trustworthy. I mean, what do we finish in after hours? Like 3% up or something like that? Let's see. So we finished 335. Okay. I mean, we'll see what they do in the morning. I'm guessing the algo turns on and they push it back down, but we can see. Apparently, it doesn't take much to move that up or down. So, but yeah, that's interesting. I didn't, I don't pay attention to after hours or pre-market, to be honest with you. I prefer actually not to gap up or down unless it's like I don't mind gapping down if I think we're going to fill that gap on the way back up. But when I'm wanting the stock to move up, I don't typically like it to gap up because it seems like those gaps always fill. So, yeah, BlackBerry. You want to look at BlackBerry? Okay, BlackBerry, same thing. Here we go. Money flow moved up. Now, you have to remember, BlackBerry is actually kind of like, oh, wait, we're on the 1 minute. I'm on the wrong time frame. Here we go. Same thing. Yeah, right there. You had the peak there. Look, there's a secondary peak here, just like GameStop, and it's just been up here, sitting here in the 90s. What's the other one? Nokia. Nokia is a little bit different because they have like 1 billion shares, but like Nokia overall is, another one where there's a divergence between the price of the stock and what these indicators are doing. I would consider Nokia, though, a little bit more of a real stock, not so much a meme. Ethan said, I noticed DTC pulled back and filled the gap from 2 days ago, just like you predicted last week. Yeah, I mean, that's typically what those algos are doing. They're trying to fill gaps and make sure there's no, like, I mean, that's their job. They get programmed to basically make sure to test areas of liquidity. So, did it fill the gap, though? Right. Yep, it did right there. Right? So that would have been a perfect entry. So if you had waited till right here when it filled the gap, and that would have pushed back up. And then we finished actually up today. So I expect them to go ahead and, make a run in the next couple days on that particular stock. And I think Aterian's going to make a move too this next couple days into next week. That's what I think. We need to see also. I mean, like GameStop, I'm expecting them to make a good old, Let's see. So you can see here, MACD's crossed over. I think what they'll do is they'll find an area of support. It's 120 at, maybe. I'd have to look at traditional levels of support in the past, but it looks like around, where's 112, 125, 120, 125. Those look like they're probably, let's zoom out a little bit, take a look, long term. But yeah, like, I could see us taking another leg up on GameStop. I mean, it's just starting to cross over here on the awesome. You can see the first blue, it looks like, will be probably tomorrow. So I could see, doing that. It seems like algos have more OCD than I do. I just bought right before the dump to fill the gap. Yeah, there you go. I mean, once again, like if you're in on DTC, like that's one where I knew it's going to go up. If I didn't time, I didn't time it right. Like I bought some stuff and I think my average is like in the like low fives. Like I bought like in this range right here, but like in a week or two, I'm not going to really worry about it. If I missed, I knew this would possibly move there, but I just wasn't sure. So, what software am I using right now for the charts? Paxton. So this is Thinkorswim on TD Ameritrade. You can use different, these are just a couple of different, I do this just for this particular stream. Actually, when I just look at the stocks myself, I actually have typically 5 different panes up, and I have even more indicators up when I'm watching and trying to day trade, or if I'm trying to make a move. But long term, I just kind of do this for visual, so you guys can see, and I also use Webull just to kind of show you guys. This one I feel like I can zoom out and kind of move things around a little bit more, just to kind of give you a simplified view of something. If we go to like GameStop, I can easily just go, all right, so here we can pull up this daily and move it around. So I like having 2 just to kind of mess around with. But Thinkorswim is the one I'm using the indicators on mainly. So hopefully that answers that. Yeah, so, all right. I want to make sure I get this right. All right, so the awesome one, from what I understand, is just basically a relative strength. It's a standard momentum oscillator, so it calculates how much strength of a common weakness among them. Reading this off the Money Control website. Let's see. Basically, what I've always done with it is, I know if you look at, for example, let's pull up GameStop. So let's take a look at the awesome oscillator during this time. All right, so what happens is typically it fans out, right? And once it reaches its peak, you start seeing the red on the other side, which is going to show like basically the weakness now coming down. And once it crosses over here, usually that's some sort of bearish divergence. And then until you start seeing it green and fold back over, that's when you see momentum back to the other side. Same thing. You see some sell pressure, a couple of green days here, could have faked you out. You would have thought maybe further, but it came back down, and it's been pretty much flat over here. This is where you got some momentum coming back over, and now they're trying to let me just show you. But the longer and wider it goes downwards or upwards is basically showing you how much, it's got in it. So like as you see, this is a decent move down. This is a decent move down here. This is a decent move up because the height, and this was a decent move down. And now you can see there's actually been some like bullish, like, they're starting to buy on this side, and it's just about to cross over. Once it crosses over on this side, typically you'll see a run like this happen. So I can give you the formula if you'd like. So basically it takes your median price and it adds the high and the low and divides by 2. And then it looks like, so awesome oscillator calculates the difference between a 34 period and a 5 period simple moving average, and the simple moving averages are not used to calculate the closing price but rather the candle's midpoints. So it's basically showing you basically momentum. So you can see MACD, it's kind of like MACD. See, the lazy bear squeeze momentum is on point. Let me see. Is that on TD or is that only on TradeView? Let's see. Yeah, it's not on here. I'd probably have to write my own script. I'm guessing though that's probably on, what's that called? TradeView or. Lazy bear. I don't see that on there. What indicator is the lazy bear squeeze momentum? TradeView. All right, let me see. I'm going to type in squeeze momentum and just see maybe. Is that only for like premium members? Because I don't see that one anywhere. And when I type in lazy, I see Lazy Day Holdings. What is... Scripts, maybe? Lazy Bear? Top author. Okay, so maybe he's... Alright, so... He has a wave oscillator, volume flow indicator, a volume accumulation. Can I search through his... I see EMA wave. All right, let's see. We have to go through all the scripts, aren't I? Price momentum, was that it? Squeeze momentum. Just so you guys can see. We'll give this guy some props here, but basically it looks like he's got some sort of... Is this not the right... Is that the same one? Okay. That's a price momentum. It doesn't say squeeze momentum, but maybe. But anyway, I was going to say, I'll look that guy's stuff up. I know a lot of people do love TradeView. Let me try typing what you said. Squeeze mom underscore LB. Bowley's perfect candle entry in Ann's MACD future forecast. Every time I ignore it, I get wrecked. I wish I could incorporate some of these things on, because I don't use TradeView, but I know like they got great indicators. So I'm wondering like, and you have to like rewrite everything though to like get it into Thinkorswim. It's a pain. So, all right. Anyone else got anything going on? Any questions? All right, let's take a look. Good evening. What's up, fun? I'll send you a pic in DM. Okay. Sounds good. And then Fish was showing me a series of pictures of the reverse repos. And he said to take a look at when the reverse repos spike. So AMC and GME all-time high runs were connected to the executive orders. Look what the reverse repos did on those days. Interesting. And then AMC's was interesting. That's a weird coincidence. Are there coincidences? Or just, you know? All right. Cryptonaire. Cryptonaires. Is BBIG on your watch list? So I own a small amount of BBIG, and it's mainly just kind of like, it was at $2 a share, and I was like, you know, I'll take a look at it. I have a problem with their management, to be honest with you. And it's nothing personal against the people. Because here's the thing. Look, if you look at their indicators, they're the exact same as Aterians and all the meme stock. So I very much consider BBIG a meme stock. The thing I don't like about them in particular is I feel like they've been putting out so much hype, which I don't mind for the most part, but the problem I find is they seem to overpromise and underperform every single time, and that's not the way I want my management to do. Like, I'd rather my management team shut their mouths and just put their heads down and get things right than to go ahead and hype up things. And when I feel like you're hyping stuff up, you're tricking retail into believing sometimes things that may or may not be true. Like, they've pushed back Tide now. I don't know. Like, was this the third time? Or just stuff like this is not impressive. And people are like, "Well, the SEC is probably making them." Like, well, to be honest with you, I don't know. I think if you look at the Ted Farnsworth, if you Google that guy's name and type in MoviePass, and you watch what that guy did to that company, that should tell you everything you need to know about BBIG long term. Like, I don't, I own some stock long on them just in case they do happen to be. But, like, I took a look at Locomotive, and I wasn't super, super impressed. I was like, okay. And Tide, the crypto's in a rough spot right now, and so like, you know, I I don't feel the need to buy more BBIG. Like if I like Tide as a crypto mining company, then number one, there's numerous ones out there that are probably better suited to do that. Um, you know, Mara. There's a handful of them that have got a head start on this that are already, I would say at this point, probably better companies. But, once again, that's all solely dependent on crypto making a return. And at this point, they haven't. So why would I buy a company that's not making money and then further it with, like, okay, I get a spin off of a company that's also not making money. Like, I don't know. And I'm not talking bad on like the retail investors who have, because I think the retail investors who have bought into it are correct. I do think that this stock has experienced, probably my guess would be some sort of shorting that was probably not on the up and up. And I think they are been manipulating, and the problem is like every single time they are about to squeeze, it seems like there's just it's just, I don't know, it's a litany of problems with that particular one. So, yeah, I not speaking bad about them. I hope they get a squeeze. I hope they go to 15, 20. But that's a very unrealistic thing in my opinion. Only because, all right, when they moved up here, their market cap and their shares outstanding was much different. They diluted heavily during this time. And they have a ton of warrants. So what that means is as the stock will start moving up, they're going to dump out on warrants, and it's going to keep things from ever actually squeezing. And that's part of the problem is when you actually do that. So, sure, we can go back to Aterian. Sure. Go ahead, Tyler. What do you want to know about Aterian? Spooner says, do you have any thoughts on the executive order correlating with the past meme runs? Yeah, I mean, like, if you look at what the date was from, GameStop, like, the executive order happened right here, and you can see what happened to those things when they lost the collateral. AMC didn't run during that time frame, but BBBY did, right? And so did costs. All these ran at the exact same time. And it's not a coincidence they ran together. I mean, AMC did run, but it just didn't have its big run until later. This was right? Is that the 28th? Yeah, it went from like $2 a share to like 14 or 15, right? Or maybe it's $20 a share on that date, on the 28th, right? So, yeah, Aterian has number one retail ownership right now in Fintel. Yeah, that's all basically being reported through the brokerages, but they're not giving us an exact count. We just have to like basically figure out based off their math what's going on. Did meme stumps run the exact day the executive order dropped, or was it a day or two later? We'd have to go back and look. Let's take a look and see. Right, because the executive order came out on... When was it first released? Let's see. Is this correct? Executive Order 13959, I think, right? Is that right? Signed by Donald Trump on November... Here, we can probably pull Google over. That's not a problem. All right. So, it is stated addressing the threat from security investments that finance the communist Chinese military companies. All right, so it was signed in November. When did it go into effect? Or is it this one? It was signed June 3rd, went into effect August. All right, let's see if we can find it. I don't want to bore you guys, but the 27th is what Tyler said, 2021. So if that is correct, that means that... I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong ticker. GameStop on the 27th would have been this day right here. So that's when it gapped up from 150 all the way up to almost gapped up $100 a share. Wow. And it ran all the way up to 378. Well, isn't that interesting? ATER's on Fintel's short squeeze list again. Yeah, we'll keep the YouTube from politics. I don't want to, unless it directly impacts the market, which it does in some cases, but will not express political views in here. But yeah, so that's a big gap. I mean, it gapped up $100 a share. Wow. But yeah, I understand what everyone's saying. The markets were doing much better a couple years ago. So, but in the meantime, what we can do right now is we can take a look at this executive order, see if there's anything to this. And so the meme stock started to run a little bit right before it dropped. Let's see. No, I don't. I'm independent. I think both guys are idiots, to be honest with you. I'm a Marine and I'm an independent, and I think, honestly, politics are just hiding the same. They're two sides of the same coin. Like, there's huge corruption problems on both sides. So, I mean, but I don't want to get into politics. So, I'm pretty middle of the road when it comes to that. But what I'll say is, there's huge problems because look at like guys like Kenneth Griffin, right? Kenneth Griffin donates to not just one side but both sides. You know why? Because they need to be able to afford both sides. Because everyone's got a price. And that's how politics works. And when you're rich and you can pay these politicians, they'll do what what's best for what you want. And that's how lobbyists work, and that's how all this stuff works, and that's bad. So, all right. No, Aterian's not on reg show again, not yet. My guess would be a couple more days down here at these levels. If we go back to Aterian. Here's my guess. If all of a sudden Aterian starts rocketing, right, retail will FOMO back in, which will start causing FTDs again. Like, the private placement shares hit the market and that reset the FTDs, but if we got any sort of volume again, it would start adding up and then we'd be back on reg show. That's my guess. So, all right. So from January 27th and amended to May 27th. Check the price action on those dates. All right, so let's take a look. Look at GME first. So we're looking from the 27th until May 27th. Right? Okay, so here's our range. This is the 27th, right? Sorry, 27th is this day, but that's the gap up. So basically you have that secondary run up here, and then it was starting to move back up again. All right, have you ever looked at the implantable monitoring? Oh yeah, Sense, I know them. Yeah, is it ticker symbol? They're like borderline meme stock. You're talking about these guys, Sensonics. Yeah, like they had that large run up here, right? On the glance, let me just take a look real quick and just see what's going on with them. I think they did have dilution, if I remember correctly. Let me just see. Yeah. So they also have a cash problem. Or not, I take that back. They had a cash problem back here. But they do have, right now, an ATM, which is why they're back down here. They've got an active ATM going right now, and they also have about 108 million in convertible notes, just at a glance. So they just put out a new. Well, I take those back. Those warrants aren't registered. They have 10 million warrants that are not registered right now. That they issued them on the 11th of November, but they never actually registered them. They do have April 2020 warrants though. They're just sitting there. That's weird. Huh. All those notes convertible. They got a ton of notes convertible. Conversion price is $1. Yeah, so here's your problem is you've got a ton of notes convertible here at 132. Some of them are at 53 cents. So what's essentially happening is these guys are getting cash, but they're adding a huge amount of shares to their float. So if you look at when did this move happen, right? From here, which was January of 2021. Is that right? No. This is all 2021. Yeah, so January 2021. January of 2021, which would have been about here. So they had 245 million shares outstanding, and that jumped all the way up in March, which would have been right here. Here, they jumped all the way up to 377 million shares outstanding, and then again here at, I guess, September, which is here, they added more dilution. So these are notes getting converted over, and then it's gone down, and then this right here coincides with the ATM that they issued. So the ATM they issued it looks like started it in November of 2021, and they did issue out 9 million shares off of it, and they also did 50 million in a Jeffries one from 2019 that they've been using. They've been really using their float to dilute. I mean, so yeah, they're not taking care of their shareholders, is what I'm telling you right now. I mean, down the line, they could have a great product and everything will be fine, but I mean, they're choosing to use a lot. Their float right now is at 451 million. It's a big float. That's why the stock price is here. I mean, so your market cap is still. What's their market cap now? But yeah, to me, these guys, they screwed over their shareholders, and that's why, like, I get they're trying to make sure they have enough cash, but like at this point right now, they've issued out so many shares that like their cost of business can't be that high, can it? I mean, they've got right now 153 million in cash, and they're burning about 20 million a quarter. So, I mean, they've got enough to last them for a while, but it seems like they've got a ton of notes convertible, a ton of warrants out still, and they still have an ATM going. So, I don't know how much money they need, but they're definitely having no issue diluting their shares. This is like the diabetes one, right? Like it's a glucose monitoring thing that like integrates with maybe they need all that cash, who knows, but I hope for anyone that's in that stock that you're in it for the long haul, because that's what they're doing. It looks like they're raising all this cash so they can do whatever the thing happen. I own AMC, ATER, GME, and BBIG. Since is a meme stock. Yeah, but the problem is there's so much dilution on them. All right, so I think 2 consecutive 15% days we'll have Anon calling Anon a genius again and FOMOing, putting us back on Reg Show. I mean, yeah, this is how it works. Like, all retail constantly is chasing whatever's the next thing, right? And the next thing can be the same old thing. Like, so when we were down here, right, I wrote a DD piece on a Friday that kind of got traction, right? And then all of a sudden that next Monday, we went from having 2 million shares traded on that Friday to 150 traded that Monday. There was no catalyst. There was no news. It was just retail rediscovering Aterian. And then it ran up to 7, and all the green eye bots told everyone to sell, and the price has gone down since then. But if the stock runs back up again, people are going to go, well, maybe there was something to this, and maybe this time they buy and they hold, and yeah, GME gapped up on both January 27th and May 27th. Let's use this one. Okay, so we were talking about this, right? May 27th. I don't see a gap there. Yeah, there's no gap on that. Unless you're talking about this one. This May. Right. On the 27th, which was here. No, there's no gap there. Alexander. Yeah, if you go back, I did cover parts on DTC. I could go through it real quick. But basically, if you go back, I covered a section where we kind of, if you look on the like time, or not the timestamps, but if you look on the like a scroll thing, if you can see something that shows a bunch of Reddit stuff, that might be a good place to stop the video and take a look if that was the DTC section. But essentially what we've established is we don't know the numbers fully because, and I've got this up here too. Here. So, okay, comedian who's also in here, he's Big Lebowski in here. We were just showing that basically that you've got these Class A's, which is 63 million, which is being reported. But then you also have these, Class B's, which typically are separate, but somehow they're adding them together. And it doesn't quite add up still, because if you actually look at the Class B's, how they read, only 14 million of them can actually be pulled out, right? So that only gives you 77 million, which is not what Ortex or Fintel or anybody's using. So we're trying to basically figure out how this works. Well, I pulled up Morningstar for you guys, and I showed that they're reporting almost 90 million shares between institutions and funds, right? And then if you actually look here, FinTel is reporting 86 million. So like nobody has these numbers right, and that makes me go, something's going on with the stock. And he says, what the F is going on with Ortex? But it's really all these, like, it seems like nobody knows how to calculate this thing. So, this is how they're basically doing it right now, which is they were subtracting the 94 million off the 86 million, leaving it 8 million share float, and that 3 million of that is short, then that would put you at about 30%, which is where Ortex is guessing. But, so I trust, Morningstar, and this is off my DD, but if you add these up, 78 million plus 11 million gives you this 89 million ownership, right? So there's only 63 million Class A's outstanding. If they converted the B's over to A's, that's fine, but like it needs to show up inside some of these things, and they're not doing that right now. They claimed there was an issue with DTC and the SP Global. I have an open ticket with SP Global right now that they're not answering how they're getting their numbers. And the fact that nobody's actually like producing these numbers up is like kind of insane, because it's been now like people are making decisions based off this, and they can't get their act together. Like we're just forgetting 17 million shares. Like I guess those don't matter, right? Like so. That's the start of it. With DTC, you can already see that the MACD's crossed over. So we're bullish there. Awesome is starting to come up. I expect it to have a better move up once we cross over on these indicators right here, the TTM squeeze and the awesome. But we should probably, my guess is, consolidate around the 5 for a couple more days, maybe moving slightly up, and then we'll see a larger move up at some point, once options start getting stacked and people kind of realize what's going on here. All right, so they said to take a look at AMC. Hopefully that answers your question, though, Alexander. All right, so let's see here. You can already see with AMC, we want to look up the same date. So, right, the 27th through... that's right, because they didn't really have this... Well, wait a second. That executive order ended here, and that's when it started running. So there is some interesting. Junior Big Mon. What program am I using to use this? So this is Thinkorswim. So Thinkorswim is through TD Ameritrade, but they, I believe the TD Thinkorswim is free, so you can download it. It's sad their product's so good, and the future product will be better. Yeah, like if you're long sense, then I think you're fine. It's just if you're in it for a short squeeze, you're not going to get it because there's too much dilution. Like they may move the price up because they've actually made money and they're a good company long term, but you're not going to get a squeeze out of it probably because just the sheer amount of dilution that's on the table. There were 2 executive orders in question. Yeah, there was from what I remember, there was the executive order 13959, and there was also executive order. What was the other one? $14032. Those are the 2 that I remember. So, all right. So, let me check something real quick as we're doing some research. Oh, if you, I was told, can you guys slap the like? That'd be helpful. Get more people in here so we can do some more research. And apparently we've got like 80 people in here watching, and there you go. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. So you guys have a couple more things that you've written since I wrote that out. The next executive order is June 3rd, 2022. Okay. So that's coming up. What day is that? That's Thursday or Friday? Friday. So it's Friday this week. So it runs up, or so if it runs near these dates, I think it has weight, but let's be careful here. So listen, I don't know if anything's going to happen with these executive orders. I understand the timing and what's happened last time, but I'm not putting all my eggs in that basket. I wouldn't recommend anyone be heavy on, out of the money, none of this is financial advice, but I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't put all my eggs in that basket. I'd much rather have shares or in the money calls or selling puts, which is bullish, if I was going to go into any of these things. So, do you think Redbox is a giant retail trap? I made 8Gs last week swing trading it, but I don't trust leaving my money in it. Oh, yeah, I wouldn't touch it long term. I already told you guys that stock has warrants sitting at 11. So if people want to swing it one way or the other, that's totally fine. But make sure you're very careful. We keep tight stop losses. But I'm telling you, every single time they get up near 11, it's just going to dump. Because once those like warrants hit, they'll just dump it. I mean, you can already see, like, it's got retail, people who are holding onto it. It's got a small float. It just, like, I don't trust it as far as I can throw it. And it will randomly just run up at times, is my guess. Like, you may go a couple days where it looks awful and it's gets pushed down to like the 5s, and then it may make it run up to 8 again. You never know. Do you think mid-cap squeeze, so we see, do you think mid-cap squeeze place go here in 1 week and we see AMC, GME, ATER, more squeeze? Oh, sorry, you're saying I think mid-cap squeeze place go here in 1 week. I don't know. I followed exactly Data Zero. I don't know if that makes sense. I think mid-cap squeeze place go here in 1 week. I don't know if you're saying that you think that mid-caps are going to squeeze. Maybe. Not sure if you answered this, but what's to stop the hedge funds from coming through dark pools? You actually asked this last time, Laura. I don't know if... I think we answered this. That's weird. Laura comes in here sometimes and asks the same questions. I don't know if it's like a form of FUD or... to avoid price hikes and potential squeezes. How about Mullen? Yeah, so I can go in Mullen. So Mullen, I played from... Let's go to the daily. Mullen, I played from 55 to 190. And I sold because I found problems with the company that I didn't like. Now, can it go again? Sure, it absolutely can go again. The problem was they had cashless warrants that I think a lot of people didn't understand. Basically, there was dilution in place, and people caught on to the short sale restriction and the short exempts being ultra high, which was basically their way of, like, basically they were trying to get this. I think they didn't think retail was going to notice, but retail picked up on it and then basically caused an issue because they were basically trying to get these cashless warrants out without anyone kind of noticing what was happening. Now, what I think you're going to experience and you'll see eventually is that, you can see a huge swing on stocks like this where, they've had now, I'd have to look, let me see what dilution looks like on Mullen now. But the issue I had with them is, so remember there was like some sort of contract that had, what was the contract? They had like $70 million worth of like vans that they were going to deliver or something like that, right? We looked into that, and there was actually like a shell corporation that was like supposed to be buying these vans. And like once we started digging, it turned out that the company is like based out of, I think, Colorado, but they are not in good standing with the state, which means they haven't paid taxes. So like, it was like this weird situation. We went to their website and you couldn't even buy any products. There's supposed to be like a delivery, like weed service, and but you couldn't place orders, and it didn't seem like it was like a legit company. So, and they, of course, are pushing all this news during the time they were squeezing, and I'm like, something's not right. Like it felt like like the CEO at one point tweeted out like about the squeeze, and I'm like, that's completely illegal. And I don't know if their lawyers got a hold of him and were like, what are you doing? Like, you can't do this. But, like, your CEO should not be, like, that's not a good look to have your CEO pumping it. Like, it wouldn't surprise me. There's stuff that has gone wrong with this whole, thing. And I do think they were selling shares that probably didn't exist to push the price down. I mean, the short exempts on this were huge, like millions of shares of short exempt volume. But here's the thing, right? I made my money. I made like, I don't know, something like 300%. And I felt good. I got out, and I made my money, and I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, I missed a run to, 4 or 5. What did I hit? 4? But I do know they got the batteries. I think they're supposed to be doing pretty well. So they could have a nice reversal. But let's take a look at their dilution before we praise anymore. Okay. Make sure. Let's take a quick look at the filings. Okay. So they've got right now still 126.38 million shares of warrants. Okay. So there's 126.38 million warrants outstanding right now. They've already issued out about 10 million of them. That means that right now their shares outstanding, their float right now is like 325 million shares. They also have Class C convertible preferred stock, Class B convertible preferred stock. Those are 8, though, so that's not anywhere here. But they probably will push up and try to unlock those at some point, is my guess. They used up the entire equity line, though. I know they were having cash problems really badly. They raised about like $55 million in cash, and they're burning through about $12 million right now, a quarter. So they will have to at least dilute some more to raise more cash. It looks like they're able to through these full ratchet cashless warrants. S3 indicates that 196 million are still possible from cashless exercising. Yeah, I mean, they'll let it run a little bit, and then they'll push it back down. when they raise some money. That's what I can tell you. So I'd be careful. If you want to swing it, that's one thing, but I'd be very careful on that particular one because it looks like there's a huge amount of like cashless warrants that can be exercised at any time. Like they have a $0 like exercise price is $0, which means that they can do them at any point they want. So if they want to let it run up to like 5 or 4 or whatever and then just use them, they can do that. And they have 126 million shares of that, so you have to be careful of that. Oh, wait. Dirty sent me something. All right. This is from what day? So this was a couple days ago. This was on Friday of last week. So it looks like Yaniv, the CEO of Aterian, he acquired an additional 44,000 shares of Aterian. So people were asking about the CEO acquiring shares. Well, here you go. The CEO of Aterian just acquired 44,000 new shares, which is about, what was that, 1 point something million worth. So there you go. There's Aterian insiders buying. Not a bad thing. All right. So when I added all the 13Fs, I got over 88 million, but used the Fintel numbers for the DD because I didn't want to sound, trust me, bro. Appreciate it, the Big Lebowski. They don't want to let the cat out of the bag that we sold way too many shares. That's probably true. The cool thing about the LB squeeze mom indicator is when it goes against RSI, it turns black on the center line. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Late today, but I made it. Hey, Anon. Hope you had a great weekend. I did, Jason. I had a good weekend. How about you guys? What's the June 3rd one? I need AMC price to go up like very soon. Keep checking the price and it's slower every hour. I've overinvested a lot. It is what it is, but I need the price to go up already. Yeah, Manuel, unfortunately, and we can pull up AMC, but like, unfortunately, you know, we can only hope it goes up. Like, it's going to do what it's going to do. I can tell you at this point right now, the MACD's crossed over. It looks like the on balance came down a little bit throughout this day, but it looks like it's about to cross over on the TTM. So I would expect maybe tomorrow or the next day into Friday would be where we see momentum shift over onto the top side of both the Awesome and the TTM. So when that happens, we'll probably see a nice move up, and hopefully it'll be back into the 20s. Laura is a bot. Could be. Maybe. All right. June 3rd is when the next executive order starts at 12:01 at Juice. All right. MP has good swings periodically. That's the oil one, right? Is that the oil one? Yeah, and this is another one that basically trades like a meme stock. Look, you got this increasing, it's not a lot of volume on this one. They had that one day here, and then since then it's kind of just been elevated and up. I could see them. Let me see if this works. That's just their entire existence. Okay. I mean, they were just hammered down there, and they got themselves up here above, so they don't get delisted, and that's what they're fighting. They're trying not to get delisted. What's the short interest on that one? I'm sure if we... S&P. SNMP. Let's take a look real quick and just see what their short interest is. All right. Right here we go. 66.2% of the free float is shorted. The cost to borrow is still pretty low, though. The current utilization is 100%, so it has gone up. Cost to borrow is slightly up. Days to cover, that's fine, but here's what I'm curious about. So FTDs have spiked, but it's not on reg show. So they're not quite there yet. And that's probably because, let's see what the size of their float is. Yeah, their shares outstanding are 144 million, which is probably why they're not having issues with that. I could see it. I could see it moving up. But it would need retail to really like FOMO in, because like you can see that there have been times where retail has gone in and it's just getting to this head, but like if retail really pushed on this could actually do something. It looks like, I mean, they did have a squeeze indicator, short squeeze indicator off Ortex for 1, 2, and 3 on the 24th of May, but it looks like nobody really did anything with that because probably no one wrote solid DD on why they would be viable. I mean, that's part of the problem. Like you can have all the numbers and metrics in the world, but you need something to go along with it. You need a reason why people would buy. But like the numbers on it aren't bad. I mean, shorts could find themselves in a really bad place pretty quickly, but it would need volume. But once again, I'm just looking at this stuff and I'm like, so 62% of the free float. We'd have to look at institutional ownership. I mean, like, I guess, I don't know. Is this boring, you guys? It's up to you. All right, let's jump on the Aterian real quick. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to get up to... Tyler says, how do I send you a private message? I have a file to send you. You can send it to me on Discord. Tyler, if you're on Discord, I can send you a link if not, and you can add me as a friend on there and send it off to me. So let me change this. Generate new link. What's up, Hung? Hyun? All good. Thanks for being here. So 6 form So six form. Is it from fours? Not sure, but Tyler, go ahead and send it to me on there. Just add me as a friend. I'll accept and I can see your file. Can you look at Sundial? I bought a bunch, didn't do well. Yeah, that's fine. Let me take a look real quick. Was it SNDL? Is that right? Yeah, Sundial. I'm familiar with all your meme stocks. This was the legalization play, and yeah, I mean, now here's the thing: these guys just got hammered. You know, all depends on where you bought, but I mean, are they at risk of being delisted? Because it kind of looks like they are, right? I mean, this is all under $1. They have a certain amount of time to become compliant. Maybe this was a compliance attempt during this run. It's above $1 there, but now it's been... Yeah, I mean, you would want to see this even higher, really, to be honest with you. It's still okay. It's, you know, at least it's elevated, but it's not like... Once it reached this point right here, you would want it to stay up here. What I see is it looks like it moved up in a heavy like buying, and then people sold right away because you see the money flowing out of the stock, and then it's just stayed out of the stock for the most part. So that's what I see, Greg, is, you know, compare, for example, GameStop. GameStop, you see the money flow, which is this green indicator, it flows up and it remains high this entire time. It means nobody's really selling in mass amounts. With SNDL, what I'm seeing is you have a couple spikes on the, you know, money flow where there was a big run here in, it looks like, I don't know, was that February of 2021? And then what ends up happening is it basically goes right back down. Like, as soon as it spikes, it's already coming back down, and then it gets back down in this range, and it's just, yeah. So that's not a healthy stock, at least as of right now. I mean, they may have to pump it to get it to not get delisted, but I don't know how they did on earnings, but I'd have to dive a little bit deeper for that. Okay, there were 6 press releases of Form 4 15 minutes ago. I have not read any of them yet. In fact, I am going past my normal stop time. Normally I go to 11, but just trying to be here for you guys. But at this point right now, what I'm going to do is I'll probably jump off. Obviously, I worked on most of the Aterian DD today. I'm going to probably dive into some of the executive order stuff tomorrow if I have time at work. I do have payroll to do tomorrow, though, with my normal job. So I have to get that out. But I do think, you know, a lot of these, you know, like Aterian for tomorrow, I think is going to probably see a slight move up. I do think maybe Thursday and Friday would be the more likely day that it crosses over on the MACD and starts making its bigger move. But it's possible also by next week, that's really when we see, you know, at least a little more green. I'd like to get back above this 392 line. That would be a good thing eventually to get past. And then obviously this is the 200, and that's the end up goal. But as we've been down here, the 200's moved down. And so it'll be a little bit easier to hit the 200. You know, we rejected off, came through, rejected off. So I'd like to see us get back up to this level eventually on the Aterian. Do you discuss swing trading and what tickers you like on your Patreon? So basically the Patreon is just donations. The goal eventually is going to be to make me a streamer, a YouTube streamer, and I would just be on all day long talking to you guys like this. You ask me tickers, I just kind of research and let you know what I see. Obviously, nothing's financial advice. I do call out tickers inside the Discord, but I don't charge money for any of that stuff. It's just all donations. So, but it's the end goal would be basically just me, being able to stream full time and then be at your disposal. Someday maybe there'll be an additional thing, but at this point right now, yeah. But yeah, if you want to donate to the Patreon, you're more than welcome to. If not, that's totally fine. Obviously, I want Aterian to fly for most of you guys, because I know most of you have invested in it. So, let's see. Tyler says wait. Okay. All right, Tyler. I'm waiting. But yeah, I sent you the link for the Discord. Just go ahead and add me as a friend on there, and then I can get whatever you're supposed to send me. Because I don't know how to do that on YouTube, so. Okay, I think something just happened. Add. Okay, here we go. Isn't it only for stocks, though, Tyler, that are above $5 a share? I don't know if that's one of the executive orders I saw only, accounts for share ETFs and stocks that are above $5. For at least that's what I understood. But yeah, but I'll read through that tonight, or maybe tomorrow morning. All right. So, like I normally do, I always go ahead and link the Discord group that I'm part of. It's free. A lot of smart people on there. I always tell people smarter than me, but here we go. Yeah, I'll read it. I'll read through it. I'll talk about it probably tomorrow evening when I do this. I typically stream every single night. That's a market night. All right, so here's the Discord. If anyone is not part of it, please join us. It's free. A lot of smart people in there, and we always talk about things. We research things thoroughly, and we try to make educated, choices. It's it's a tool. You choose what to do with the information, but typically when you have multiple people working on the same projects, it's actually pretty easy to because people see things different ways, and that's always a good thing, actually, I think, is, if I'm reading something and I'm interpreting it one way and somebody else reads it and then, another person reads it and all three of us come together and discuss it, typically you will get at least the right answer out of it. And that's what's nice about this is, I was busy this weekend and, Big Lebowski was able to actually deep dive into and saw all the problems that these guys were having with the DTC float. So that helped me tremendously because I didn't have to do that legwork myself, and now I'm able to at least contact the people that we're supposed to, which is the reporting agencies that are listed as Fintel and Ortex's data people. So we're going to them now and saying, hey, listen, what's going on with these things, because nobody can give us a straight answer, and you guys are the source. So, and then additionally, if you are interested, I do have a Patreon. It's all just donations only. And it's basically if to make me quit my day job, and I would be able to basically just hang out with you guys, talk about stocks, and kind of create a little community here. That's kind of the goal. Plus, my wife doesn't believe it will ever happen, so there. So those are the two things. And then what I'll do tomorrow is I'll kind of dive into the executive order stuff, and when I'm at work, I'll try to see if I can write up something that makes sense for everybody and see if I can dissect it. And if I can't legalese it out, I'll come to you guys on the Discord and we'll kind of talk it out. But yeah, that's what's going on tonight. Thanks for hanging out with me and we're talking stocks. Oh wait, Hyun says your DDD covers a lot of questions I received. The last DD I translated. This will be good. I don't have time today, but hopefully tomorrow I can finish the translation. So anyone that was curious, Hyun is going to translate the DD I wrote today and into Korean, I think, and then put it out there for them. If anyone else wants to translate it into another language, you're more than welcome to. It'd be nice to get some more international folks investing in some of the things we like also. So you're doing exactly what I want to do also. Yeah, I mean, that's the goal. But, I don't know if we'll ever get there, but because I don't at this point, because people are like, oh, well, I don't day trade. I typically swing trade long-term investments in my 401k and in my Roth. And so this is not money I pull out, it's just all of my retirement stuff. I do have an individual brokerage account, smaller account that, I do typically do more like short-term trading in, but it's not enough to supplement my income. So, my wife told me I can't lose any money, but if I could make at least equivalent, then I'm allowed to switch careers and maybe do that full time. So, but yeah, thanks for hanging out with me, guys, and I appreciate it. And I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. All right, everyone, have a great night.